Warning, playing FPL is highly addictive. It may cause stress, a loss of free time, a resentment towards friends or colleagues, and a dislike to football in general. Please, FPL responsibly. In FPL, we all want a solid, nailed-on defence. But with more investment in real life comes larger squads, and in turn more of the dreaded rotation in FPL. So in this video, which is a part 1 of 2, I'm going to analyse the defence of all of the top 6 sides from an FPL perspective, and I'll give my honest opinion on whether I think their players are worth picking or not to begin the season. Firstly, we'll start with the defence of Arsenal. Now Arsenal no doubt offer up some interesting good value options here. Thanks to a poor season last time out, it sees popular fullback option Hector Bellerin get a nice 5.5 million valuation, along with Socrates and Mustafi, who are both expected to be the starting centre-backs. All 3 of these players have started most pre-season games and are therefore pretty nailed for game week 1, and the 4th spot looked to be Kolasinac, who was our budget route into this defence for just 5 million. Frustratingly though, Kolasinac picked up an injury recently, which will now see him miss the opening 8 to 10 weeks of the season. This is a big shame, as more expensive option Monreal will probably now take the spot at 5.5 million. Nacho Monreal produced his most prolific goal scoring season last year with 5 goals, so he could be an exciting pick for this season, especially with Kolasinac out injured, but he's not featured much for Arsenal in pre-season, so he could be a bit of a risk to start the season with. That simply leaves you with 3 viable options from game week 1, and seeing as Bellerin has played all 4 pre-season games and is perhaps the most attacking of the 3, I think he's their best defensive pick if you do want an Arsenal defender. Despite them offering fairly good value and a cheaper alternative than the other big sides, personally, I'm going to be holding off Arsenal to begin the season. What is extremely important to note is that new manager Unai Emery has a long history of rotating his fullbacks throughout the season. Over the past 4 years, he had 4 fullbacks at his disposal at both Sevilla and PSG, and played all of them almost 50% each throughout the season. This for me is a huge concern for Bellerin and Monreal, and could make owning them extremely frustrating. The thing is, because of Arsenal's 2 extremely difficult opening game weeks against Man City and Chelsea, it kind of feels like the decision has already been made for us. It's going to be a very big ask for Arsenal to keep clean sheets in those games, so I think it's best to hold tight for now, and then if needs be, we can always jump on Arsenal defenders when their fixtures ease up from game week 3 onwards. Next up, it's North London rivals Tottenham, who offer a flurry of tempting but high-priced £6 million options. Speaking earlier of Unai Emery's fullback rotation policy, the same argument can be made for Tottenham and Mauricio Pochettino, who consistently rotated his 4 fullbacks last season. Due to the World Cup, this Tottenham defence is looking like a complete minefield to begin the season. Kieran Trippier, the highest owned defender currently, played the duration of the World Cup, as did centre-backs Vertonghen and Alderweireld. So this has left many FPL managers a bit concerned and not knowing where to turn around this defence. Starting with Alderweireld, for now I think I can rule him out. There's question marks over his future and he's had a lengthy World Cup. You could look at Vertonghen as a reliable pick through the season, and he can avoid the fullback rotation. But again, because of his World Cup exploits, he's another player I'd be concerned picking for game week 1. Kieran Trippier was excellent for England in the summer, and his set-piece abilities make him a mouth-watering FPL option. But because of the uncertainty surrounding him for game week 1, and the fact that he's yet to feature in pre-season also concerns me. Currently, he's a maybe for me, as I do believe he's a great pick, but I'll probably hold off for now due to him not being certain to start. My advice on the Tottenham defence would be this: if you're keen to own a Spurs defender to begin the season, then I think your safest bet is to go with Ben Davies. He obviously had no World Cup this summer and has featured a lot in pre-season, so is therefore nailed to play the opening game weeks. But be warned, in these pre-season friendlies he has been deployed at centre-back a lot to accommodate these other missing players, so it could see him remain there to begin the Premier League season. This could obviously hinder his attacking potential and decreases his appeal certainly, especially at 6 million. The fact Ben Davies is playing centre-back though, this could also open the door for Kyle Walker-Peters to be a potential value pick in the early weeks, and at 4.5 million he could be a handy enabler, but this surely won't be long term once we see the return of Trippier. It could be a decision that comes back to bite me, but very much like Arsenal, Tottenham are a defence that I'm staying away from for now. With 3 away games in the opening 4 game weeks and a lack of clarity on who will play the opening game, for me there's too many negatives surrounding their options. Not to mention Pochettino's fullback rotation policy, which became extremely annoying last season. The next defensive line to discuss from the top 6 is Liverpool. Now for me, this is where we start to identify some very appealing defensive options for your FPL squad. They made Anfield a fortress last year, remaining unbeaten there, and went on to record the second best defensive record at home. Regarding their fringe players, Matip is currently injured and Klavan is out of favour at centre-back. There were some suspicions that Nathaniel Klein at 5 million had a chance to make the first team, but having recently left the pre-season tour for family reasons, I can't see him starting the season over Trent Alexander-Arnold. To open the FPL season, I'd also eliminate Lovren from my considerations, who's owned currently by a fairly large 10%. Don't get me wrong, his £5 million valuation could be a bargain throughout this season, but after a gruelling World Cup campaign, and with Alexander-Arnold valued at the same price, for me it's a no-brainer on which of these two to pick to begin the season. As a budget-friendly option, Alexander-Arnold is the pick of the bunch for me, and my advice would be, if you are in need of a £5 million defender to start the season, I don't think there's a better option out there currently. The remaining 2 options are Robertson and Van Dijk for a premium £6 million. But if you do have a spare million to spend, then I believe they are both worth the upgrade. The 2 of them are nailed on to start the season, and they produced the best stats last year. Despite not scoring in the league last year, Van Dijk had a staggering 27 attempts at goal, with 22 of them coming in the box. That shows his danger from set pieces, and this actually dwarfs Robertson's 12 goal attempts. Robertson, however, did provide 5 assists, and it was him who set up Van Dijk for his goal against Dortmund in pre-season, so both of these players have incredible appeal. Honestly, I wouldn't stress over which pick is best here, pick one and enjoy, but personally, I think Robertson still just edges it for me. So having looked at the defence of Tottenham, Arsenal and Liverpool, it's my belief that only these 7 defenders should be in your considerations to start the season. For the time being, there's simply too much uncertainty involving the rest of the players, and we can consider them at a later point in the season. Tomorrow, I'll be going over the defensive assets from the other big sides, Manchester United, Chelsea and Man City, to see who I think is best to begin the season with. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, then please support the channel by dropping a like and getting subscribed for FPL content throughout the season. FPL responsibly, and I'll catch you all in part 2.